It's Dave Johan once again for Punch Out Boxing. Please be joined this time by Archie Sharpshooter Sharp. How are you? How are you, mate? It's been a while.
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, any time, any time. I mean, you were last out in action, I think, on a TM14 card over in December, just to keep ticking along as well. But the million-dollar question, Archie, is you rank so highly in the WBO. You've seen your peers winning world titles now. You're 24-0. You're unbeaten. You've got a big promotional banner behind you as well. When's it going to be your time? Surely this year, or?
Yeah, well, hopefully, like you say, I've had a very political last couple of years. So at the minute, I'm currently a free agent because I left Frank a couple of years ago. And I signed with Pro Bellum, which obviously never really got off the ground. Yeah, it's just been a bit slow really. The fights weren't happening, the shows weren't really happening. And plus the TV, I was fighting on BT Sports, so I had the big platform behind myself, and then it all kind of come to a bit of a standstill. But yeah, look, I left Frank. There was no bad terms when I left Frank. It was all on good terms, and yeah, we're basically in talks again. There's a few offers that could possibly on the table. So yeah, like I say, 2024 is a big year for myself, and I'm ready to kick on now. I've had like I say, a good couple of years where it's just been a bit inactive, a bit slow. Um, Everything happens for a reason. You trust the process, and it's given myself and my team a good time to kind of work together. And now that it's a fairly new team, well, it's been a year since Roy Jones joined as a head coach. But having Ian Weaver and Richard Sawyer as well, all kind of the three of us blend together. We've had enough time now to kind of let that work,
Yeah,
and then yeah, we can showcase that in the next fight.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of noise as well with Roy Jones as a trainer. You've got him in your camp as well. I mean, surely some of that greatness rubs off on yourself as well. Is it working twofold in terms of it gives you motivation, but then Roy also shows you a few things as well? How's the relationship formed?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a great relationship with me and Roy. Like you say, if I can just take a 10% or 5% of what he's done in his career, and then bring it into my own career, then that would be amazing. So that's kind of the plan. Ian Weaver has obviously boxed at a very high level. I've been Richard since an amateur since the age of 7 years old. So having us all working together, having Roy is a massive part because even though Ian's boxed at elite level and Richard's been in the boxing game all his life, no one's kind of done what Roy Jones has done. He's one of the legends, one of the
Mm.
greatest, one of the best to ever lace up a set of gloves. So to have his input and his way of looking and analysing fights and boxing itself, it's amazing. And I've felt and I feel the difference with having Roy here.
And I bumped into you when we were talking off camera inadvertently at the Hamza presser. I was
Yeah.
gonna, like I said, I was gonna pop over, but then I got tapped up and said, "Look, interview this person," and then one thing led to another. But what was it like being around that buzz again as well? That big lights and everything as well, because you are used to it. You come from big platforms and stables.
Yeah, I think that's what I've kind of learned over the last couple of years as well is like obviously when I first turned pro, it was straight in. I was with BT Sport, I was on the big platforms, it was TV, it was everything. You kind of I don't want to say you take it for granted, but you kind of you do see I would say you do take it for granted, shall I say? You do really, because like I say, when I left Frank, I went on the small shows, and then being back at the Hamza Presser, it kind of brought back old memories. I thought, oh, do you know what? This is what it's all about. This is what I used to thrive off. This is what I used to get up for. And when I come away from that, I kind of realised last couple of fights I haven't really been getting up from. Not in the big venues. Well, I say that last one was at York Hall, but I mean, it's not the Royal Albert Halls. It's not the hype behind it with the TV. So it was nice to be back. It was good to see some old faces. And yeah, like I say, there's a couple of offers on the table. We're in negotiations, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But I'm looking to a massive year. 2024 definitely is the year I become world champion.
I mean, they're going to be, when I say they, the champions potentially are going to be forced in a position to fight you because looking at the world rankings, even though you're saying you've been slightly inactive, you're still highly ranked in the, in the likes of the WBO where you're in the top five. You're still in the IBF, the WBC, so you're in the rankings, you're in the mix. So it may be even a case where the champions or people that are slightly higher ranked than you are going to be forced to fight you, right? I mean, they can't shy away from that.
Yeah, no, that's the plan at the end of the day. Like the politics, not. I've been number one. I was number one in the WBA for 2 years and still didn't get a call-up shot. So, it will be a matter of this year. I'll be forcing champions to have the fights. Like I say, the next fight that I'll be in next will be a big fight, be on a big platform, and yeah, I think after that, that will kind of springboard me back to where I was, if not more in front, because the next fight will surely be for a world title. There's only so much people can avoid. And like I say, having Roy Jones in the corner as well has got a big pulling power in the States and just in the boxing in general as well. I know he's in talks with a few people. So yeah, it's all looking very, very positive.
I mean, there was talks a few years ago. I don't know who initiated it with you and Shakur Stevenson. I mean, that's the fight you'll definitely get up for, and definitely put a few bums on seats and stuff. Is that the kind of mix, or would you want to go down the Navarrete route, or is it a case of Lee Wood for a domestic? I mean, there's so many names out there, isn't there, Archie? I mean,
Yeah.
Josh Warrington's still around, and Joe Cordina as well. It's a good mix, isn't it?
That's a brilliant mix, you know, and then I'm just like grateful to be in this position at 24-0, unbeaten, and like you say, my name's in with the big names because Shakur Stevenson's obviously a name I've been chasing for ages. Everyone's kind of running the other way, and I've been running head on. And I know he's been tweeting a lot that no one wants to fight, but I've been calling the fight on for 2.5 years. Since he was at 126, and obviously he got the chance to come straight up, and he went above me. Um, and then got his shot at the world title. I think it was against Valdez for the 130, or it might be Jamel Herring. But even so, that's how long it's been. You know, I've been in that number one spot for so long, and it should have been me way before the likes of a lot of these fighters. But unfortunately, due to politics, people kind of
Mm.
overstep me, and it is what it is. So, but yeah, and it's what's frustrating is like the likes of Valdez, for example. I knew that's what I would have done to Valdez because no one had done that to him, no one would believe me. And then I'm saying, look, I will school Valdez. And then obviously Shakur got that opportunity and it was perfect for him because Valdez is only a one-dimensional fighter. And it just showed that. And that's what's frustrating. That's why I say about Shakur, I'm chasing the Shakur fight because I believe I'll beat Shakur and I'll be the one who beats him. And then there's the blueprint.
Yeah, I mean that would be a fantastic statement as well for 2024. I mean, if the offer was on the table in terms of a world title shot, say tomorrow, or when I say tomorrow, obviously the new planning, or a big profile fight for Saudi Arabia, getting your name out there, similar to what like a Jai Opetaia did with he was allowed to defend the ring, albeit it was politics involved. But just say as a high profile fight in Riyadh season or a world title, if you had to choose, which one would you go for?
Um, it's like anything, we're prize fighters, you know, so it all depends on where it was what. But I mean, world title's what I've been chasing, but the main thing is for me now is just being active on a big platform. And if it means Saudi, then I'll be in Saudi, and then the world titles will come after. I've been like I say, been ranked number one with the WBO for 2 years, and the rankings haven't really kind of shown any, not really had any power behind them. Like you know, but they've not had any. What's what I'm looking for? Basically, it hasn't really meant anything, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, for me, mate, like I say, world titles, lovely unifications. That's what I want to be in a big mix with the big fights. That is exactly that. But being on the big platform in Saudi, that'd be brilliant as well. So either or, just the big fights and the biggest names. That's what I really want.
Well, hopefully this happens for you this year, Archie. I mean, have you got any indication of when you're going to be out in action next, and how many times do you think this year?
So ideally, April is what we're kind of aiming for. Could be the end of April, early May. Just depends on what shows are about at the minute with everything. Because I know there's a big show happening in on the 27th of April, which is obviously Catterall and Taylor rematch. And I think the other big show really is on the 31st of March in at the O2, which is Waldley
Yeah.
boxer show. And then Frank, I don't know when Frank's next show is in London. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the promoters have got over it. That's the beauty of where I'm at really, because I'm not tied in with anyone. I can kind of see where we are, what we're gonna do. Because at the end of the day, I have got a bargaining chip. I'm number 5. I'm in the top 5 in the world in the WBO. So it's not like I'm unbeaten and I'm still a name. I'm fresh, 28. I'm still young and for no hard fights. So I'm in a very good position. So I've got a good team behind me, and yeah, God willing, it all kind of plays into action in the next. By this week, I'd like to have a fight date,
Oh,
or at
wicked.
least,
I mean,
or at least a indication of who we're signing with or what fights we're signing for.
no, that'd be excellent. I mean, just another thing as well, where you're based in the country. I mean, London is, one of the fighting cities of the UK, and
Yep.
boxing fans, real boxing fans who know their sport, know who you are. So your name still carries weight, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah,
obviously,
sure.
casual fans.
Yeah, yesterday we had a good conversation with Tevin Farmer. So do you know what I mean? There's some big names still. He's still a decent name out in the States. So there are some names that were interested in fights. So yeah, there's some big names there. And I know he's in the top 15 now, the BO as well.
Yeah, so there's some names there. Just before we wrap up, Archie, just wanted your opinion on a couple of things. Well, first of all, those that follow the sport as well, they're aware that 2024, it looks like boxing is not going to be part of the Olympics this year. There's talks of that. Do you see more people turning over now pro as a result, where people are on the cusp of, they wanted a gold medal for their country, but now unfortunately because of what's happened, do you see people like that turning pro, or do you think they
Yeah, I
might
think
wait for the
so. I
next one?
think it's a shame, really. It's kind of it's not good for the sport, really. Like say, it's gone on for so many years in the Olympics and doing well in the amateurs. That's kind of your base, you know. Look at all the great fighters, the Sugar Rays, Roy Jones Jr., Mayweather's, Ali. Like, there's so many fighters you can go back to, and they all had a great pedigree. And yeah, it will be. I think it'll be a big shame for boxing, and I think a lot of young fighters and people will be turning pro a lot quicker than what they're really ready for. Or do you know what I mean? Like I say, some people want to go and achieve loads as an amateur. I remember being an amateur kid, and it was all about winning national titles every year, year in, year out. And Olympics was on my radar at one point. You know, it was
Mm,
on my radar, and fortunately, things didn't really plan out what I should have been doing, and the McCormick's ended up going around my weight. So yeah, it's definitely a big thing for people what they want what they want to do. But yeah, interesting times.
yeah, and then no doubt you'll be watching the I call it the big one. It's one of the big ones of the year anyway. Joshua Ngannou on the 8th of March. It's going to be a
Yep.
stacked card. I mean, Zhilei Zhang versus Parker, and then you've obviously got Francis Ngannou taking on the former heavyweight champion of the world in Anthony Joshua. What's your how would you break that fight down? Do you think it's one way traffic for Joshua? Do you think Ngannou causes him any problems? Because he gave a good account of himself against Fury, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he gave a good account of himself, but I just feel like Fury took his after ball. My own opinion, I think he took his after ball, and then where he's been so used to dominating with his like size and his weight, leaning on people, I think that's where he come a little bit unstuck. Whereas if he was the normal Tyson Fury we know and get behind his boxing, it'd have made easy work of it. So I think AJ should make easy work of it. He needs to really. He needs to go in there and make a statement. Um, and I could see him stopping the fellow in the 6 rounds.
Yeah, it'd be a good one. Yeah. So Archie, have you got any sponsors you wanna big up or anything like that?
Yeah, so
And where
obviously,
can people follow you as well? If you let people know where they can follow you as well.
yeah, so catch me on that Archie Sharp 95 on my Instagram, Archie Sharp all across all my platforms and Twitter. And yeah, there's a massive shout out to my sponsors. There's loads. There's loads of people to thank. They all know the team. You know what I mean? I've got Gary Woodlove, Nigel, Duncan, Noel. Got my nutritionist Paul. See my trainers. There's loads. There's loads to thank. That prize guy as well. They've been on board for the last year, which has been brilliant having them on board. Um, so yeah, so I think it's going well.
Good
And
stuff.
obviously,
Archie,
massive shout out to yourself and your platform.
cheers, Archie. Thank you for that, mate. But look, be in touch. Let us know when you've got some fight night penciled in. We'll be there as always, supporting you and your journey so far. 24-0, guys. It's about time that Mr. Sharp had his shot now. Should we just say as well? Ranked number 5 in the world and also in a lot of the governing bodies as well. So definitely want to get behind and follow Archie's journey.
No, perfect. Thank you very much.